Hello everyone, I'm Nightmare Nemo, and welcome to Scary Town, the Goosebumps and Fear Street review show. This week we are finishing Goosebumps Horrorland with the Streets of Panic Park. And then it says Frightened to Death. And so, where we left off last time, the kids are in Panic Park thinking that they were safe. Ends up not being true. Panic Park is 10 times worse than Horrorland. And they meet up with the big bad, the man who's been behind everything, orchestrating all the events leading up to this book, and is the Menace. And he is he is like one of the most like cheesy and like crazy villains. Like it's really one of those villains that's kind of like he can, like a Snidely Whiplash, where like he twirls his mustache, and it's really cartoony villain. And he has like the whole gimmick is he has like kind of like this dual personality. So his head flips around to reveal like a scarier face or whatever. Really weird stuff. So the kids survived from, obviously they survived from the last book, and they are pretty much put in this house with the Menace, and he has like all these contraptions and traps and things to set illusions and loudspeakers and all these things to just basically like torture these kids. At one point he forces the kids to watch like this old black and white movie, just showing like the history of Panic Park and stuff, and the kids are really not paying attention. So like he makes it so that their seats move and move around and like squeeze them, and then he does a lot of really horrible stuff to the kids, like torturing them and whatnot. Like not to the point of like really bad stuff like personal injury, but kind of stuff where they could potentially die from the torture, but nothing too gruesome. This is supposed to be a kid's book. And so eventually like the kids find a way out of this mansion where the Menace is, and they escape. But then they find out that the Menace still has control around the park, and he's still like messing with them. Like at one point they go into this diner, and Slappy shows up, Slappy the dummy from Night of the Living Dummy, and he does all this stuff to mess with them, and he shakes up the diner and stuff, and then causes one of the kids to sprain their ankle, and it's pretty terrible. Some of the antagonists from the other Horrorland series come into this. Of course, Slappy, Captain Ben One Leg from Creep from the Deep. Of course, Dr. Maniac from Dr. Maniac versus Robbie Schwartz. It's really great. Love that character. I really like that he came back in this. And Dr. Cranium from Helpful We Have Strange Powers, which was the last Horrorland story until we got into the main stuff here. And so it's great to see them back and just see their interaction with some of the other villains, and it's great to see like this big crossover with all the villains from Horrorland. It's really great. And so basically the plot is the Menace is trying to bring Panic Park back to life, because Panic Park is basically like in this alternate dimension, and it's kind of like this ghost town, and because it was like torn down and stuff, but everyone's just kind of like specters and stuff. And so he needs to bring it back to life, and he wants it to take over, basically kind of like take over the world, really. Bring Panic Park back, and then, just terrorize the world or whatever. That doesn't really make any sense. But in order to do that, he needs to up what is called the fear meter, which is like an actual like this big giant meter. You see it like in carnivals where like you hit the bell and it goes up all the way up, pretty much like that. In order to get the fear meter up, he's been torturing the kids, like I mentioned before. He's torturing them, making them like scared in order to raise their fear level. What they don't know is there's a way to stop the fear meter, and that is to not be afraid, obviously, and is to laugh as well. But it's really difficult when you be tortured and terrorized by Dr. Maniac and all the villains from Horrorland, the Horrorland series. But eventually, they find unlikely allies, and they're able to bring the fight to the Menace, and there's a pretty satisfying conclusion. It's really great. It's really satisfying into the Horrorland series, as far as this first arc is, and it really wraps everything up. It really ties up all the loose ends, and if you've been a fan up to this point, and you are not going to be disappointed. It's got everything you want. Pretty much all of the villains from the Horrorland series up to this point, they all make appearances. I mean, some of them, of course, are more prominent than others. Like, of course, there's going to be more attention put to Slappy and Dr. Maniac than the snake, the king snake from Welcome to Camp Slither. So there's that, and even the Haunted Mask, like there's something for it to do. I mean, it's not going to be able to talk or anything, but it still makes an impact. So it's really good, and Slappy, of course, kind of steals the show, as well as Dr. Maniac, and I just really like them a lot. So if you like those characters, you're really in for a treat. So this is the last book, and definitely check this out. And if you haven't, go check out all my other reviews of the Horrorland series and read the books for yourself. It's a really great Goosebumps series, and it's very unique in that it has an ongoing backstory for each of the books, and it really just like leads up, and it makes you want to really grab the next book and just really tear into it and read it. And yeah, it's definitely worth all the build up of 10 books into these last 2 books. Is just it's so worth it. So that's it. We're pretty much done with Horrorland. We will go into the second story arc, which is pretty much kind of like the similar setup, where there's a bunch of standard Goosebumps stories, and there's going to be the backup, and the backup's going to tie up into eventually the main book, where all the kids go back to Horrorland and confront the main villain behind everything. So definitely look forward to that, and thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.